In the chill dawn of February 1558, the air in London was thick with whispers and fog. Mary VI, known to history as Bloody Mary, faced a nation divided by faith and a court riddled with conspiracy. Born on February 18, 1516, at the Palace of Placentia in Greenwich, England, she was the daughter of the formidable Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. Mary's early life was shaped by her father's desperate quest for a male heir, a pursuit that would alter the course of her fate and the face of England forever. Mary's ascension to the throne on July 19, 1553, after the brief contested reign of Lady Jane Grey, was met with public jubilation. "The street seemed paved with men," wrote an observer, "strewing flowers as her grace passed." But here's where it gets interesting. Mary's reign quickly darkened as she sought to reverse the Protestant Reformation her father had initiated. According to royal letters of the time, her determination was rooted in a deep personal need to validate her mother's marriage and her own legitimacy. Her marriage to Philip II of Spain in 1554 aimed to bolster Catholic power, but instead led to an increase in her subjects' distrust and disapproval. Records from the Abbey show that discontent simmered dangerously close to rebellion. The Queen's personal and political challenges were compounded by false pregnancies and ill health, which left her isolated and often despairing. What if these pregnancies had come to fruition, one might wonder? Would the promise of an heir have softened her reign or intensified her resolve? Mary's enforcement of religious conformity included the burning at the stake of over 280 Protestants, earning her the moniker Bloody. Witness accounts describe the smoke from heresy fires as a black curtain over England, a stark symbol of her reign's oppressive nature. This period not only tested the limits of her power, but also the endurance of her people's spirit. As her health declined, so did her grip on the throne. The truth, however, was far darker than many realized at the time. By the time of her death on November 17, 1558, Mary had become a figure of both fear and pity. Her body, blackened by the corruption of her organs, was a tragic physical manifestation of a reign consumed by loss and fanaticism. This physical decay, emblematic of her political isolation, left a legacy that was as dark as the death she met. As the curtains draw on this chapter of England's tumultuous history, we're left to reflect on the complexities of a queen whose reign was as troubled as it was transformative. As autumn descended on the year 1558, the air around Mary Fair grew thick, not just with the chill of coming winter, but with the ominous weight of illness. This was no ordinary malady. It was a sickness that colored her once vibrant complexion with hues of deep jaundice, as documented in the personal letters of her confidant, Ambassador Renard, who wrote, "Her Majesty's skin hath turned a sail, low as the autumn leaves that fall." The symptoms began subtly, fatigue and a mild fever. Yet as weeks progressed, according to the royal physician's records, her condition worsened, spiraling into severe abdominal pains and an unrelenting nausea that left her bedridden in the cold stone chambers of St. James's Palace. The whispers of courtiers grew into a cacophony of rumors, suggesting poison, a common suspicion in an era riddled with political intrigue. But here's where it gets interesting. What if Mary's illness was the result of an underlying condition overlooked by the medicine of her time? Records from the abbey reveal that her symptoms closely mirrored those of advanced liver disease, possibly exacerbated by her strenuous attempts to produce an heir, a situation steeped in personal and dynastic despair. Her agony was not silent. Witness accounts describe her moans echoing through the palace corridors, a haunting sound that chilled those who heard it to their very bones. The true horror lay in the transformation of her appearance. By mid-November, Mary's eyes had darkened and her skin blackened, a terrifying spectacle that had even the most stoic servants averting their eyes. "The Queen's visage is so altered, she scarce seems the same sovereign," reported one of the Queen's maids in a letter home. The climax of Mary's ailment came on a bleak morning when the Queen, in a rare moment of quiet lucidity, whispered to her lady-in-waiting, "I am not long for this world." The emotional depth of this admission, coupled with her physical transformation, painted a portrait of a monarch engulfed by the very darkness she had fought so hard against. The truth, however, was far darker. As historians would later confirm, Mary's symptoms were likely the result of chronic lead poisoning, exacerbated by the gilded goblets from which she drank daily. A tragic irony for a queen who sought purity in her reign, but found poison instead. As we reflect on the somber end of Mary I, one cannot help but ponder the implications of her death on the course of English history, marking a sorrowful yet pivotal point in the Tudor dynasty. In the waning days of November 1558, the once regal chambers of Queen Mary I transformed into a somber tableau of suffering and decay. According to royal letters of the time, the air was thick with the pungent aroma of medicinal herbs, and the Queen's labored breathing echoed through the cold stone corridors of St. James's Palace. Mary, known for her fervent Catholic faith, clung to her rosary, whispering prayers with chapped lips. Her skin, once fair, was now sallow and oddly discolored, a grim tapestry of her failing health. Records from the abbey show that her physicians, baffled and desperate, prescribed more prayers than potions, a testament to the era's limited understanding of medical science. "Her Majesty's spirit remains indomitable, but her flesh weakens daily," wrote Sir William Petre, her loyal secretary. This personal account, it reveals not just the physical toll but the poignant resolve of a woman who faced death as she had her reign, with an unwavering determination. But here's where it gets interesting. What if Mary had recognized the symptoms of what modern scholars speculate might have been ovarian cancer? Could an earlier understanding have altered her tragic end, or was it merely her fate to suffer as she did? Witness accounts describe the Queen's final week as one of both physical agony and spiritual fervor. The palace, shrouded in perpetual twilight by heavy drapes, witnessed her frequent bouts of pain and feverish visions, perhaps omens of her looming demise. A chilling silence fell upon the court as her once forceful voice faded into hoarse whispers. The air grew colder on the morning of November 17th, 1558. Mary's breathing, which had been so laborious, stilled, and her heart ceased its weary beating. The Queen, dressed in her royal robes, lay motionless as whispers of "the Queen is dead" echoed down the halls. This moment marked not only the end of her life, but the cessation of a turbulent reign marked by religious strife and personal tragedy. In the immediate aftermath, Records reveal a kingdom in muted chaos, an interregnum filled with political machinations and power vacuums. Elizabeth I ascended to the throne, heralding a new era. Yet the court couldn't shake off the shadow of Mary's tormented final days. What happened next shocked everyone. During her autopsy, the cause of Mary's distress was mistakenly recorded as a phantom pregnancy, a misdiagnosis that sparked rumors and scandal for years to follow. This revelation not only changed historical perspectives, but also highlighted the stark limitations of Tudor medicine. As the curtains close on this dark chapter, we are left to ponder the depths of human suffering and the inexorable march of time. How differently might we view Mary's reign if we understood her not just as Bloody Mary, but as a woman battling an unseen enemy within? As we delve into the mysterious and tragic demise of Mary I, Queen of England, the veil of time lifts to reveal a tapestry of medical and historical theories, each more compelling and darkly fascinating than the last. According to royal physicians' notes, Mary's symptoms began subtly. A royal letter dated October 1558 describes her skin turning an ashen gray, as if smoke had settled beneath her very flesh. These reports were eerily echoed in personal diaries of her courtiers, who watched with growing horror as the Queen's vibrant health dwindled to ghostly pallor. But here's where it gets interesting. The symptoms aligned suspiciously with arsenic poisoning. Her flesh blackened, and her pain was such that it could be likened to the fires of perdition. Records from the time bleakly state, medical experts of the era were baffled. Theories ranged from severe melancholy to a disfiguring plague. Yet historical documents show a consensus on one harrowing detail. The Queen's excruciating pain seemed beyond natural causes. According to a letter from her confidant, recorded in the archives from Windsor, Her Majesty cried out in the night, tormented by dreams of betrayal and loss, her body becoming a prison of agony. What if amidst the political turmoil and religious reformatory of her reign, Mary had enemies who sought not just her crown, but her very life? This what-if scenario invites a chilling possibility of murder by poisoning, a method both silent and ghastly. Historical context suggests the timing of her symptoms correlated with her increasing isolation and the political disenchantment of her subjects. The dramatic shift from her once fervent public support to widespread dissent was, according to cathedral archives, a period marked by whispered conspiracies and shadows darting in the torchlight. The truth, however, was far darker. As the curtains draw back further, witness accounts describe a queen consumed not only by physical ailments, but by a profound despair over her failure to secure a Catholic heir. Her emotional turmoil possibly exacerbating her physical condition. The climax of this tragic tale hinges on a poignant revelation found in the margins of a forgotten priest's journal. The Queen's heart was blackened, not by poison, but by a profound melancholy that ate her from within. This emotional anchor ties Mary's story not just to a mysterious death, but to the universal experience of unfulfilled dreams and the isolation of power. As we reflect on these revelations, the narrative prepares us to explore deeper into the shadows of Mary I's reign, hinting at more secrets veiled in the mists of her royal chambers. As the dusk of Mary VIII's reign settled, the shadows of her legacy loomed large and foreboding. The rotting death of Mary Antia not only marked the end of her corporeal journey, but initiated a transformation in how history would remember her. From the moment of her death on November 17, 1558, her image began to evolve from a sovereign to a spectral figure entwined with tales of darkness and despair. According to royal letters of the time, her final days were shrouded in a palpable sense of dread and foreboding, a precursor to the Bloody Mary legend that would haunt the annals of history. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite her notorious posthumous reputation, contemporary records from her reign paint a complex picture of a ruler who was both feared and deeply misunderstood. Witness accounts describe a monarch who navigated treacherous political waters with an iron will and a heart often torn by the demands of her crown and her faith. The stark contrast between the public perception and the private struggles of Mary fosters a poignant narrative of human frailty and regal responsibility. This narrative crescendo reaches its peak with the revelation of Mary's phantom pregnancies. Historical documents, including personal letters and court records, reveal the depths of her despair not merely as a ruler, but as a woman grappling with profound personal and dynastic failures. What if Mary had given birth to a healthy heir? Could the Tudor legacy have sung a different tune, perhaps altering the course of British history? In the chilling reflection of Mary's deathly blackened visage, a symbol potent with metaphorical significance emerges. Her blackened death served not only as a literal descriptor of her physical decay, but also metaphorically illustrated the darkening of her historical image. As her body succumbed to illness, her legacy too began to be consumed by the bleak narrative crafted by succeeding Protestant regimes. These regimes painted her Catholic fervor as fanaticism, her governance as tyranny, a narrative that starkly contrasts with the more sympathetic portrayals in later historical assessments. The truth, however, was far darker and more complex than any tale of simple villainy. As we delve deeper into the twilight of Mary's reign, we uncover a tale not just of a queen, but of a woman caught in the relentless gears of history, her personal tragedies amplifying her political ones. This reflection upon her reign and death reveals not just the making of a monarch, but the unmaking of a woman, ensnared by her lineage and the colossal weight of the crown. In exploring the rotting death of Mary I, we unearth more than just the story of a queen. We reveal the enduring power of historical narrative to shape, distort, and ultimately define our understanding of the past. Her legacy, swathed in the mists of myth and memory, challenges us to peer deeper into the shadows of history to find the nuanced truth lying beneath. As we draw the curtains on the harrowing saga of Mary I, Queen of England, it's crucial to distill fact from fiction, revealing how her death has been cloaked in mystery and myth. The chill of November 1558 saw Mary's life flicker out, her body ravaged not just by illness, but by the weight of a troubled reign. According to historical accounts, her final days were marked by excruciating pain and a profound darkness that seemed to cloud her very being. What if Mary had not succumbed to her illness so young, barely into her 40s? Could the tides of religious and political strife in England have shifted? As we ponder these questions, it's essential to reflect upon the impact of her actual passing. Records from her physicians detail a body so blackened by decay that it struck horror and pity into the hearts of those present. It's a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the brutal reality of death in the 16th century. This chilling detail not only underscores the severity of her condition, but also amplifies the emotional weight of her final moments. But here's where it gets interesting. Witness accounts describe a queen who, even in her dying breaths, clung to power and faith, with a tenacity that both awed and frightened her courtiers. Her death was not merely a physiological failure, but a symbolic end to a contentious reign that had seen England torn by religious upheaval. The first woman to be crowned Queen of England in her own right, stayed the annals of Westminster Abbey. Mary's rule was marred by her attempts to reverse the Protestant Reformation her father had begun. This reflection brings us to a poignant climax. As Mary's body was interred in Westminster Abbey, her sister Elizabeth ascended to the throne, heralding a new era. This transition not only marked a significant political shift, but also a dramatic change in religious policies. It foreshadowed the challenges Elizabeth would face, mirroring the struggles Mary had endured. In conclusion, the story of Mary VIII is not just a tale of death, but a vivid tableau of the resilience and turmoil of a queen who lived in the shadows of her father's legacy. As we delve into the depths of history, we uncover layers of human emotion intertwined with the stark realities of royal life. It compels us to reflect on how history judges and remembers its figures, often painting them in colors as dark or as luminous as the times they lived through. What happened next, under Elizabeth's reign, would shock and shape the course of history, forever altering the tapestry of the English monarchy.